All right, everybody, we are starting late on this very hot Sunday here. It is July 21st, 2019, and welcome to Game Wisdom Live, our weekly show where we discuss industry and game design topics. I am still Josh Peiser, and my co-host this week is indie game developer Shark. How are you doing up there?
I am doing good. Tired but good.
Your shark is glowing as your image right there.
Yeah. I've gone Ultra Instinct. It looks a little bit stretched though.
Uh, eh. If you
It's
want to
really
try
small.
the square one, I can put that one up.
Yeah, we can try the square one. Let me find.
But while he is getting that going, it's been another very hectic week. I finished up my presentations for the summer, at least for the libraries here, and work continues with calling more of them up. I have 7 right now planned for October and November, and I'm hoping to get a lot more than that. So I'm almost done with the state of Ohio, and now I'm moving on to, I think, New York. And yep, it's going to be more on the phones work for me. Let's see. Let me get that up there. Does that look any
But
better? It's hard to tell. I
it
think
does,
it.
but it's still skewed because that's
Yeah,
square, but it's rectangle on the stream.
yeah. I think it's just how I have things like zoomed in. I just have how things are like focused.
Yeah, I think you've got the screen smushed on that side.
But other than that, work continues. I think we are approaching 4,700 subscribers slowly but surely. So thank you to everyone who has been enjoying the content here. And we had a very interesting multiplayer night. We finally got a chance to play Dragon Ball Fighter Z, and in a surprise twist, I think I won the most of all the matches. I don't know how that happened.
You had all the you had like 300 hours of practice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I went to that hyperbolic time chamber from Dragon Ball Z. 30 minutes equaled 300 hours right there.
Yep.
But it was a lot of fun. We did Killing Floor 2 the other night, but it was just Mojo and I, so I'm going to get more on for that. In terms of upgrades, I finally bought my next piece of upgrade for Game Wisdom. I finally got myself a HD capture card here, and a lovely copy of this little game that I'm sure nobody has ever heard of and knows what this is. Now, if the planets align and everything works perfectly, I can set up to do some Mario Maker streams. I would love to do like a Mario Odyssey run if I get that going with the Switch. But I'm waiting for my HMI cord that I ordered to get here as well, since the Switch is in the other room, the computer's in here, so there's going to be a little bit of wiring going on to get everything all hooked up.
What? It's not portable?
The card is, but I have the system and everything in like 2 different rooms, so I think that's what.
Uh, it was a joke referring to the system.
Oh, it is, but it is going to be even more portable in the coming weeks. The whole Switch Lite. Did we talk about that last week? I think we did.
Yeah,
Hmm.
we talked about it at some point. I think it was on stream.
Yeah, but hoping to get that all set up. I also ordered a copy of Etrian Odyssey, the last one. That's a present from me to me because I don't think people are going to enjoy me playing a 30, 40 hour dungeon crawler on the 3DS.
Probably not,
If it
but
ever
they might.
goes on the PC, though, we'll totally do a stream of that. I think Mojo will jump off the roof there if he's watching me do that. Let's see. Anything else going on right now? I think that's about it. I need to think of some games to play for tonight. Late last night we played Akari Warriors 2 to the horrors of about 5 people who I think were watching, who I think were all scarred for life, having seen that footage. I think I was
Oh, were
one of them.
they? I really loved that game growing up.
It did not age well. Spoiler alert for people watching. I think
Well,
I had a.
I remember you had to have like the cheat code to make it fun though,
Yeah. I think
which
Mojo was
was
telling me about that too.
which was ABBA, and you would get like a respawn get another life.
Oh my. But yeah, that game, I think I had a crazy nightmare that I don't remember now after playing it. Still going through They Are Billions, but finding so much frustration with that campaign. I think Mojo is beating his head against the wall too on that. And I
Yeah,
think.
I don't think they had the campaign last time I played.
Mm-hmm,
It was just the straight off play, and you can't win.
yeah. Oh, I'll go for some fried rice, Dragon. It's hard to find good Chinese food around here. But that's a topic for another time. Maybe if Chow comes on, we'll have another cooking segment with him. But in terms of news, we were trying to find something going on this week, but everyone is kind of busy with Comic Con. I guess did anything get you excited from Comic Con, Sharky?
I haven't looked at anything, to be honest.
Yeah. All I know is what people were yelling and screaming about with the new Marvel stuff.
Uh, the 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 only news that I know of really accurately right now is or not even really accurately, but the only real news I know about lately is the one going around the game you just showed off, your Switch game,
Yep.
Mario Maker 2,
Mm-hmm.
about the online, not being able to do online with your friends.
Yeah. Again, like Nintendo is like weird with that when it comes to their online play.
Well, their excuse is the high scoreboards. Because if you play with your friends, you can rig up stuff and get,
So don't
you
have
know,
those count.
yeah, just make it when you pair up with friends. Have them don't count. Jim Sterling said the same thing.
Yeah, like
The
it
other
kind of
people did too.
reminds me like of our little the epic can't connect everyone to multiplayer Dragon Ball Z arc we ran into on Friday night.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's again like that's one of the very weirdest things about Nintendo. I don't know if this is big enough for a topic, but it's a very odd tangent. Like Nintendo like has always been like one of the strongest at game design and keeping their games being amazing and still hold up. But they always seem to be like 5 to 10 years behind everybody else when it comes to like online play.
It's not just that they just make weird bad business decisions
Mm-hmm.
like pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, like they especially do it in online stuff, but they do it a lot of the times. Like the whole, limited edition. That we're only, printing like five of the, NES Classic. Good luck getting one of those five. Scalper's got all of them.
And the amiibos up there that I had to like fight Target like at 10 o'clock in the morning to get one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, like it's such like a weird push and pull with Nintendo when it comes to their decision making like that. And yeah, and just like Neil was saying in chat, like that's the thing. Like Nintendo has built so much of a war chest up from the 80s and 90s that they could reasonably fail, and they technically we want to consider the GameCube and even like the Wii U were not their most profitable or their most like well structured systems. They're not running out of money anytime soon. Like they certainly outlasted Sega.
Well, the thing is with Sony and
Mm-hmm.
Xbox and Sega and all them, they often sell like their consoles and stuff at a loss to hope to regain it
Yep.
later, where Nintendo never sells at a loss.
And
They they,
the
they make
old
the we can't lose business decisions.
yeah. Like Nintendo, like anyone who's a Nintendo fan knows that when you see a first party Nintendo game on sale, that's like a unicorn, riding a rainbow. Like it just rarely happens.
Hmm.
And I still like, oh yeah, and that's the thing. Like I'm looking at this package. Apparently, I get a free 12-month membership to their online thing. So I guess that means I get access to their virtual console. So I'm curious about again, what they're doing because we've again like longtime fans of Game Wisdom know that I will go on my Nintendo needs better backwards compatibility or game preservation rant, at the drop of a hat there. But like again, like there's a lot of stuff that seems very basic that Nintendo could be doing to improve things, and they just refuse.
Yeah, they're drip feeding uh, virtual games onto the emulators onto
Mm.
their Switch, and basically like five a month kind of
Ugh.
thing. And and it generally, some of them had like no games of interest kind of thing. It's like tennis, you know, and this kind of crap. And you can Jim Sterling actually did a video on this, and he talked about it in detail. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, you could see like
Mm-hmm.
this was this month's games. Five games, one of them,
Mm.
two of them were good, kind of thing.
Yeah.
High like value, very low dislikes on the YouTube video. Next month,
Mm-hmm.
one good game, still good ratio. Next one, still good ratio. And then the next one, they had like no good games in there, like just all right games. And then it was like a almost even, 50-50
Yeah.
on likes and dislikes. And then the next month, they had like basically nothing in there. And the dislike was like 80% or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And as Neil was saying, like their fan base has kind of been conditioned to, like, again, like that kind of status symbol, and the fact that you have built up this clout in the game industry. And like the thing that's so annoying though is, as we've said, like when I look at kind of my quote unquote collection of NES games I can stream, it is not a lot of work to get these games working, especially again with the vast number of emulations and hackers who've done most of the work these days. So, like, it shouldn't be this hard, I feel, to play classic Nintendo games. And it shouldn't
Yeah.
be this hard for Nintendo to just say, here's our virtual collection, we can make this available, from now until the end of time. But,
Yeah. Well, I mean, they can't make it till the end of time because you every console has a different format kind
mm-hmm,
of thing, different OS kind of thing. Like how on PC, like like you when we upgraded from 32 to 64 bit,
yeah,
pretty much everything on 32 bit no longer worked on PC. Well, I
yeah.
mean, you're getting that kind of every console generation.
It should be
So
possible
uh,
though to create like. Wouldn't it be possible to create like an emulation software that could work, or it could be scaled up, or it would run into that same problem? Like every new hardware or benchmark or platform would cause like a redesign of it.
I think the stream just went offline.
Uh oh, did it?
No, there it is.
Yeah, I'm noticing. Uh oh, yeah, I'm noticing some messed up. Yeah, my connection is acting up a little bit. I don't know if it's the heat wave, if there's a issue, or what. Hmm. But yeah, like as hopefully we can still stay on. But yeah, like as El Gordo said, like when it comes to like the modders, they've been keeping things going for so long. But again, a lot of that is considered, uh, you know, not exactly the legal side thing. I'm sorry, I'm being distracted, but I'm checking. Now you guys got me paranoid about the stream. I heard there may have been an outage with Comcast last night. I don't know if there's anything going on today.
Yeah. As for what you said earlier about the emulators,
Mm-hmm.
basically, from my understanding, and I'm not, I'm not a programmer. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I know a little bit of programming kind of thing, very
Yeah.
little. So take this with a huge grain of salt. But from my understanding is if they could probably get a universal emulator for their cartridges for their games, and then
Mm-hmm.
they make different emulator machines for each console. So
Mm-hmm.
once they made the machine, they can when they program the machine, they make it compatible with the emulators they already have.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, they just have to just port the games over,
Yeah.
and they would have to do a new actual emulator machine every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I could be wrong on that. And I do know that if they had a big enough distance in between OSs, that also would not happen. They would
Yeah.
have to do every emulator separate. But as long as there wasn't too much of a jump kind of thing, they
Hmm.
should be able to just make a different um, emulator machine each generation, and the games would be fine to carry over. Of course, at the same time,
Hmm.
they could easily just get the ones off the internet and put it on there because I mean those are open source.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have to do anything, kind of thing.
But then you run into
And
those issues of using, somebody else's work. And Nintendo has also earned a very negative reputation for fan games as well, as we've seen many times over.
and trying to make emulators no longer easy to access so that they wouldn't have that issue of
Yeah.
your point of being that it's so easy to access. They're trying to take away that easiness from it.
Yeah. I just here's a random thought, and hopefully the stream stays on so I can have it. I wonder what Nintendo thinks of the Kaizo community. Stuff like Grand Poo World, Invictus, many, many, many other examples of it. Because they've built themselves up a very solid community of people making those levels and doing stuff like Nintendo would have never thought of, but it's still 100% illegal.
Yeah, the the I would think that I don't know what to think honestly. The only part that I know to think is Mario Maker. Somebody seen the Kaizo community, liked it enough to make Mario Maker.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I see it at. That's the only place I could really see. I mean, but I see that more of a exception out of them, and like the
Mm-hmm.
rest of them not liking it at all.
Yeah,
But that's just a guess.
yeah.
The one semi powerful person that came up with the idea for Mario Maker that then got it to somebody else higher up and got
Mm-hmm.
it to somebody higher up and whatnot until it made
Mm-hmm.
its way into a game.
Yeah. To Mojo's question about an online service, the Switch does have an online service, a subscription you have to sign on for. The Wii U and the Wii did not. They had the Virtual Console. You had to buy the games individually, but you didn't have to subscribe to it.
Oh, it did have an online service. It just wasn't anything to speak of.
Okay.
It was just the the virtual the virtual machines and whatnot, and the storefront
Mm-hmm.
where you buy games,
Yeah.
and a few games allowed you to multiplayer in them.
Mm.
And I don't know. I think those servers were not Nintendo servers, though. I think those servers belong to the game developers,
Mm.
but I'm unsure. I don't know which way it was
Mm.
or not. But I know, like I think Assassin's Creed had a few things online. Several Splatoon had online
Oh yeah.
because
Didn't they?
Splatoon was
Didn't
on.
they kill Splatoon's online player? They said there's no more content for it.
I have no idea. I haven't been following it. I didn't. I played it, during one of the like 1 hour demos thing.
Mm-hmm.
wasn't wasn't my kind of cup of tea kind of thing. So like I didn't ever get it or follow it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, according to this, yeah, they're not going to be doing any more content for Splatoon 2. And again, it kind of leads back into this discussion about Nintendo's weirdness when it comes to multiplayer and continued support of their games. As we all know the story, Smash Brawlers was not in any way, shape, or form designed around competitive gameplay or the fighting game community. But the FGC, took that ball and ran with it to the point that now Nintendo is kind of forced to keep working on that game or make it appealing for them. But
Yeah,
Nintendo has just never really had any strong focus when it comes to multiplayer. Oh, with exception its local multiplayer.
yeah, they like the local,
Mm-hmm.
which you can still do on the Mario Maker too. But that's the only playing for friends you're going to get on there. Um, the Nintendo has always generally had a good business model with customers kind of thing. Not with fans, making fan made games, but with the actual customers.
Yeah.
As long as they don't go to the point where they make their own game.
Yeah. Like
But like,
Nintendo, but don't like it too much.
yeah, yeah, and I see them going away from that now, and that's not a good sign. I mean, they started good with the Mario phone game, and then they went a little bit deeper with the Fire Emblem game. But this new game, what was it? What's the new game they're doing?
Uh,
Is it Animal?
There's an Animal Crossing game coming. There's a new Fire Emblem game. Still nowhere about a new Metroid Prime.
I'm referring to like the mobile. I bet it's a
Mm.
mobile Animal Crossing.
There's a Doctor Mario coming to mobile. I heard.
Mm, I don't think it was that
Mm.
one, but one of them they got coming to mobile. I think it's coming to mobile anyway. Pretty sure it is. Has like just loot boxes in it, like you know, all kinds of bad stuff, and like I've heard all
Mm.
kinds of like horror stories to where like they may even top EA on this one kind of
Mm-mm.
thing.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, I love that. Back in the day.
I mentioned that in the second book too.
Uh, that's a. I always loved that line when I was young.
Hmm. But yeah, like we've gotten on like once again like on Nintendo rant. Like it is again such a weird thing when we talk about Nintendo. Like they make some of the best games out there, but it always seems like they're 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, kind of with everything else.
Yeah, I remember several years ago, like I was talking about how much I love the PlayStation brand
Hmm.
and whatnot, and somebody was saying that I was a fanboy of them. I was like, no, no. If I was a fanboy of anybody, I would be a fanboy of Nintendo because I grew up with Nintendo. Nintendo, has been there for a very long time. They just haven't,
Hmm.
at that point, hadn't made anything I wanted in a very long time. But that
Hmm.
doesn't take them out of that special place in my heart that I hold them.
Hmm.
So if there was anybody I'd be biased to, it would be Nintendo,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And I'm just, I'm just so afraid of where they're going, kind of thing.
Hmm. Yeah, and that Doctor Mario World apparently came out 11 days ago. I did not even know it was out already.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't get me started on the whole fandom thing, because that's what my old man video I just recorded yesterday is going to be all about.
We get a sneak preview.
Mm. Yeah, but yeah, I've never. I didn't say this in the video, so I guess it can work here. Like, I've never prescribed to fandom, like in any way. Like, even the stuff that I love, like I will never go like outright fanboy on them. Which is good in terms of being professional, but it's also bad when people expect me to like gush over something.
Yeah. I got really close to that line in one particular franchise, and that was Final Fantasy. Like, like they had just made so many amazing games that just bam, bam, bam. Like I loved all their games. Like not just the Final Fantasies, but I loved their other like Star Oceans and
Uh-huh.
everything. Like I loved everything they made until Final Fantasy X 2, and they went straight downhill after that. But like I was so invested in there. It's like, oh, this is just one bad game. I'll pick up the next one, 11. Oh, this is just a second bad game. I'll pick up the next one, 12. Oh, this is just the third bad game. I'll pick up the next one, 13. Oh, God. Uh, uh,
Yeah, like
okay, maybe I won't buy Final Fantasy games anymore.
yeah,
And then I still ended up buying 13 too.
yeah. Final Fantasy is what drove me away from JRPG design for at least 5 years. After I think 9 was the one that I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I don't want to play this.
Do you know that um, basically the end of what we know as the developers of Final Fantasy actually left after 10?
No, no.
Basically, what happened was is many of the team members could not agree on what game they were going to go with. So like part of the team made Final Fantasy 8, part of the team made Final Fantasy 9, and part of the team made Final Fantasy 10.
Whew.
And they were basically all being made at the same time.
Mm.
And at the same time, the upper management had gotten really corrupted and really bad people kind of thing, and just was chasing them out. They released 8, and as soon as they released 8, pretty much everybody that was in on that team quit Squaresoft.
Mm.
And then as soon as 9 released, basically everybody that made 9 quit. As soon as 10 came out, basically everybody from 10 left, except for the management. So at that point, they had no developers, only management and owners, that were really entrenched. And at that point, they said, well, we can't continue like this. And if we just hire a bunch of rookies, we're going to die to Enix. Here's our last chance. We're going to buy Enix, and then right after we buy them, we're going to merge and become Square Enix. And then we're going to hire a bunch of rookies to do Squaresoft games, and we're going to bring in a few key people from the Enix people over to guide the Squaresoft people. And then Final Fantasy X-2, Final Fantasy 11, Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 13-2 rather.
And again, like the last Final Fantasy game I really enjoyed was 12, and I know that was done. Wait, yeah, I think it was 12.
Square Enix.
Yeah, the one that was done by the team who made Final Fantasy Tactics.
Maybe one or two people from Final Fantasy Tactics. Probably the management from Final Fantasy Tactics, not the actual team, because like pretty much all of the team was gone. They were just, they were like, from the team that did it, and by team we mean one person that was the manager over them.
And then they made Kingdom Hearts too, or I should say just Kingdom Hearts, 2 there. Oh man, yeah, Kingdom Hearts again. We want to talk about fandom. We could spend a few minutes on about Kingdom Hearts right there.
Yeah, like I really enjoyed the first Kingdom Hearts, but I got to a point where it was just stupidity at the end of the game. It was like I think it was the final boss fight where basically you have Donald and Goofy this entire time as your teammates, and then you go in and it's a wall that blocks off Donald and Goofy. It's like, well, I depended on Goofy to be my distraction, to be my tank kind of thing, and I counted on Donald to heal me. And now I've got my character build that I have built for me can't tank and can't heal, and now somehow I've got to tank and heal against this final boss, and I have no, I'm going to have to go level up like 5 billion levels to even stand a chance, because I've got to build up some healing and build up some tanking so I can actually live through it. And it got to the point of frustration. I was like, yeah, screw this game, screw all of them after this one, because if I can't beat this story, I ain't even interested in the rest of them. And that was the most good, ironic opportunity right there, because the story has just gotten all over the place and in no place at the same time, and it was like a ironic savior of that bad design boss fight.
Yeah,
that saved me from ever getting invested in that franchise past the first one. I mean, it was a fun game, but I mean, only to that point.
So I guess we'll do our weird game segment in a minute or so, but I want to go back to Nintendo for 1 minute. As we all know, one of the big things that happened this past year was Doug Bowser I think that's his name, taking over as is he head of? He's head of Nintendo of America, right? He's not head of the whole company.
Yeah, he took over Reggie's place.
Okay. So, like, and that was one of the weird, that was one of the more interesting aspects behind Nintendo. As you all know, when Reggie kind of came on the scene, I think that was, I want to say 2003, 2004. Does anyone remember when he went to Nintendo?
I don't remember when he exactly got there, but
Let's
I
see.
loved Reggie, and losing him was a big loss. But I mean, the memes from Doug Bowser, it's just worth it.
Yeah. Let's see. They say he became the president in 2006, but I know he must have been working at Nintendo before that.
Yeah, he might not have been, but probably he
Yeah.
was.
But the reason why I bring this up is that, again, when Nintendo makes these big shifts in terms of their heads, it usually marks something changing with them. When Satoru Iwata became president of Japan, then when he sadly passed away a few years ago, like again, like Nintendo, and you mentioned this earlier, Shar, when Nintendo being really good to their fans and their consumers, like
Hmm.
Nintendo has always been viewed as like the more or the most personable of the major companies.
Yep, and hopefully that doesn't change, but it looks like it's going to.
Yeah. And again, like if the whole reason why Nintendo's been able to stay alive has been the fact they've been so different compared to Sony and Microsoft. If they try and chase after that now, I think that's going to be a mistake for them.
Yeah, it's not going to kill them though, unless they just keep on doing it stubbornly.
Yeah. Uh,
But it'll take a while because, like, I mean, they're
mm-hmm.
going to make a butt ton of money off of it for a while till it becomes, you know, till people get fed up with it, kind of thing. But it does fit Nintendo because Nintendo, Nintendo, like you said earlier, is many years behind on trends, kind of thing. So, like, loot boxes came out you know, several years ago, and now they're just now picking them up, kind of thing. I mean, that follows Nintendo's kind of path.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, but I'm hoping for better things from them.
Yeah.
You know,
And we'll see what happens, I guess. But since we did start late, let's move on to our weird game segment. Then we have one design topic for the evening.
we kind of had to. We had like the Nintendo
Oh yeah.
design topic,
Again,
Nintendo/fandom.
tangents can happen at any time on these streams. All right, let's see what we got here. All right. One second, let me switch things over. There we go. I saw a few people playing this Kill Squad game. What is this?
Looks like you're no.
ARPG hardcore, high intensity gameplay. Okay, this sentence right here is cracking me up. Looks like an RPG but plays like an action game. So would you say it's an ARPG there?
Uh,
Choose and customize your heroes.
I don't get where they say it looks like an RPG.
Yeah. Game design. Who's making this?
I mean,
For
the thing I give it is it'll probably do well because it has flashy, good looking art,
mm-hmm.
and you know how that's pretty much key.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely has that very detailed, gritty sheen to it, especially in
Hmm.
these screenshots. All right, well, we'll see.
Whether it'll be a good game or not is a totally different
Yeah.
story, but it'll probably do well, especially since you've seen plenty of people doing it. It may be, it may blow up really big, kind of thing. Because once a few, it generally just takes a few YouTubers to trigger a
Mm-hmm.
few more YouTubers to trigger a few more
Mm-hmm.
until you get all the way up to the big ones, and then once you get up to the big ones, it just rains down all of YouTube, and it
Mm-hmm.
could be like everybody could start calling it the Fortnite killer kind of thing.
Ugh. Oh yeah, you were showing me that video when they were talking about developers obsessed with Fortnite, the game theory one. I couldn't watch more than 5 minutes. It was starting to give me a headache. But going from what looks like high quality, let's take a look at this. This looks like it had the same budget. What do you think?
It's totally the same budget. It's just called a pixel, but that doesn't look like pixel art.
No, it does. No, that is definitely not pixel art.
I call false advertising on that game.
What the hell is this? Please name your what? Okay. Well, it's from one developer. I hope this did not take years to make.
It honestly kind of looks like a not like a maybe it looks like it has an asset for the engine
Hmm.
or an asset for not the engine but the gameplay. It looks like a lot of games that there's some games that you can buy from asset stores that are just
Yeah.
complete games kind of thing, and then you can just plug in assets to it, and that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
Could not be that, but that's what it looked like.
Now this one, the art looks impressive, but I have no idea what this gameplay is.
Yeah, it seems to be all over the place. What does it say for genre? I can't see through my mic.
Uh, there is no genre.
Um,
Hmm.
the mystery
Indie.
continues.
Indie. That's the genre.
It might be one of those weird original games.
What is going on here? Let's see. Will we get anything that looks anything else besides that kill squad? Looks pretty interesting. Kids safety with George Pleasure. Hmm. Oh, the Viola game's coming. Oh yeah, that's right. It's going to be coming out this week on early access.
Yeah.
Moonlighter is getting another DLC. Hmm. Again, I really wanted to like Moonlighter, but my problem is that they went so in on the combat that the shop simulation just doesn't work. It's just non-existent.
Yeah.
Mm. I mean, it's good on them that it's doing well enough. I think this is going to be. They've had, I think, 3 or 4 free DLC to the game. This is like going to be its first like commercial one, or
So
one.
that brings me up a question to you:
Mm-hmm.
Is why call something a free DLC rather than just an update?
Yeah, it
I mean,
is.
do you get an extra marketing push from that? Does people look at that more favorably?
I think they do. Let me see here. I'm on their site now, or I'm on the store page. Wait. Oh, the publisher of Moonlighter is also publishing that Children of Morta game. I got confused for a second. I thought they were working on 2 different games.
Hmm.
Let me see here. We're going on a little tour. Wait a minute, I can just go over here so you guys can actually see my work instead of just hearing me clack on the keyboards. Let's
But
see.
browser on Steam can be a
Mm-hmm.
can be a just as bad as.
Yeah. Let's
Uh,
see. There's the. Where is it? I'm trying to get the updates here. Ah, here we go. Moonlighter. There's DLC. Oh, I had over 500,000 copies sold, so that's good. And that's why there's more. Oh, so they're just called free updates. They're not calling it DLC. But some developers do. I think Payday did call all their updates as DLC, or at least it's listed on there in
mhm.
when you go to their page.
I would figure that would be less promotion kind of thing. Like because I don't know. Like anytime I hear the word DLC, I'm turned off,
Hmm.
whether it's free or not.
And again, since they went somewhat, or since they went past like their years and stuff, all the DLC is free now, or majority of it is, other than this H3 one. All right, but let me head back over here. Apollo 11 VR. I think we saw that Super Demon Boy last week. It sounds familiar. Circle, Flaky Bakery.
Hmm.
What?
That has some little interesting art on the front. That's Flaky Bakery.
Yeah. I think we looked at that one last week too. Different enemies, higher help. Why not? Again, you can sometimes be surprised, as we've seen many times over.
Oh, I think I know what kind of game that is. It's kind of almost like a tower defense, but not.
Uh,
Where you just have like a single like base that you got to defend, and then you just spawn out like all these units and whatnot. You do things to earn more money.
how do you like these graphics right here?
Oh, those graphics are top notch. That's a million copy seller right there.
That is some amazing placeholder turkey art right there.
Mm-hmm. Makes me hungry just looking at it.
I think we'll have nightmares about these characters tonight. Ooh.
To that one with the wire hair,
Mm-hmm.
the pipe cleaner hair.
Burger. Wait. Look for boost, help yourself. Paper, fragments with poem lyrics. Stop, Belinda. Burger means guard like burgers? I. What? And this is a game about literacy grammar. Okay. Huh?
They needed to get some more literacy grammar in their description then.
Mm-hmm. Mm. So many weirdos or weird games this week. Hurricane Chase. Huh. Oh, that Erratus game is finally coming out. We'll have to do a play of that too. Kind of like Darkest Dungeon esque. It's been in
Hopefully
development
it's
for at least
good.
a year or so, or no, I think 2 years now. A lot of fantasy games coming out. I see a
Right
lot
that
of
next to the
visual
last one.
novels. Yeah.
That's definitely a fantasy game. Got
Mm-hmm.
fantasy in the name.
The heck is this? Hmm.
Oh, I know that game. I guess that's a new version of it, or
Hmm.
it'll be popular with the YouTubers
Probably.
for a few weeks. But
The
I don't feel like that game has really legs on its own.
Yeah, like these graphics right here look a whole lot different from these.
Yeah, it's cutscene versus the
Uh,
3D playing,
mm-hmm.
or rather, it's sort of town management because you're managing your bunker kind of thing.
So Turok is apparently coming back, and it looks like this.
Yeah, that
Okay.
sounds right, Neil. That's about my thoughts to it. Is it would be fun to play it once or twice, which the gameplay is only what 2 minutes or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then it would be boring after that. But the YouTubers are selling probably millions of copies of that and playing it for weeks and weeks.
What do you think about that Turok game?
It didn't look like a Torah game to me.
Me neither.
A Voltron game. I wonder what that is.
Let's see. Not match three.
That's a
Uh,
match three.
no wait. Wait a minute. It says it's a real-time strategy game. That does not look like a real-time strategy game to me. What?
Um,
Okay. And it's in early access too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a different one.
Do they actually have the license for Voltron?
Yeah, it looks like it was picked up by Universal. Okay. Well,
Like,
oh, another Monster Boy game is coming out.
that's got some good looking art in it.
I'm pretty sure it's from the same developers as the last one, or the last ones who remade. Wait, if this is Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, what was the one that I played last time? Wait a minute here. Monster Boy.
Maybe the first one was Monster Boy and the Kingdom, and this is Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom.
Hmm.
Next one will be Monster Boy and the Uncursed Kingdom.
I know I own it on Steam, but I don't have it under Monster Boy. Maybe it's under a different name. Oh wait, I think it's Wonder Boy. Yeah, there it is. Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap. Is that
Yeah,
by
it's
the
Wonder Boy. I don't
dot?
think it's about the same people. It could be
No,
though.
it's not. Huh? That's weird.
It's probably just heavily inspired by that game.
Yeah. That is some
So
really
inspired
good
that
graphics, though. A really good
yeah,
aesthetic.
so inspired that it caused the confusion there and thought you
Yeah,
owned it,
that's some good confusion.
or bad, depending on how that plays out financially.
Mm. Arma 3 still has updates to it. I have never played the Arma franchise. I own, I think, one of them. Just cannot get into it. There's Wolfenstein. Just for the heck of it, we'll see if we get a press key for it. I doubt it. Usually I don't have too much luck with Bethesda.
Who does?
Yeah. I have even less luck with Nintendo.
Again, who does?
Yeah.
Except for the ones that sign up for their creator program.
Hmm. Wait. Why does RIP have a designate land, sea, and air? Ah. All-out war simulation.
Did you see that weird vampire one?
Let's see. Oh yeah, there it is. Hellbanger as well. I'm afraid to click on that one too.
Yeah, it's
Pay.
probably fine, but it's risky.
Yeah. All right. This will be. We'll do one more page and then we'll get to our last topic. Evening Star 2.
Have you ever thought about doing word games from the new releases on Steam?
We could. Usually this pools. Usually most of the games that are on here are going to end up on Steam anyway. Let's see. Yeah, let's not click on any of that. Warhammer 40k Inquisitor. A short hike.
Exactly, Drakon.
Alright. Let's see. Do wonder if this is any different. Octopath Traveler's still on sale. Let's see what's coming out on Steam. Oh god. That's a good start right there.
Cyberprank 2069.
Mm.
It's only $10.
I'm sure it has the same quality as the CD Projekt Red one.
Oh yeah, and it'll be totally worth $10.
Mm-hmm. Vengeance.
What, Fate Hunters hadn't released yet?
Which one?
Fate Hunters.
Wait, did we look? I think I own this.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we did
I.
a stream of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out 3 days ago.
I've owned it for a while longer than that.
Yeah, me too. We did a play of it on the stream.
Yeah.
There's that my friend Pedro. Steambirds. I've heard about this. I think I spoke to developers.
Total War Three Kingdoms.
Someday we'll have to play that. Massively colored bullet hell shooter. I'm pretty sure I spoke to the developer of this, or somebody who was doing this. Let's see, when did I speak to them? Oh, they did Row Not Taken. Alright.
It's a free to play game. So I'm interested in their business model they did in there.
Wait a minute.
The coloring game? That's coming out again? That came out already.
Wait a minute. This is getting very weird. Oh, it's popular new releases. Not all new releases. Thank you, Steam.
Yeah.
Don't you love their love my billionaire boss. Biker Z.
Bikers.
Alright. But yeah, let's get to we have one topic that I want to talk about, and then we'll wrap things up in like the next 15-20 minutes. But we'll see how long this goes. So, the topic that I want to discuss, I was thinking about when it comes to this idea of fun in video games. And a lot of people, especially like those like first starting out or more on the fan side of things, generally look at games as fun being like the best metric for whether or not a game is good. But when I was thinking about games that aren't like quote unquote fun, we get to some of the more interesting designs. And the one that kind of is leading our discussion would be that Fear and Hunger game that I've shown on stream a few times. And I guess it's one of those weird things. Yeah, Nintendo still claims to be a toy maker. That a lot of people view that if a game isn't fun, then it can't be good. So I guess, what do you think about that, Shark?
Well, I mean, fun is subjective, so
Yeah.
everybody's going to have their different, claims of fun kind of thing. But I mean, one could argue that the game that you're talking about is fun.
Mm-hmm.
If you enjoy it, then you're having fun, so that would make it fun for you, kind of thing. So fun games by that meaning would be good games.
Mm-hmm.
So if a game isn't fun, or if a game isn't enjoyable, then it isn't fun, which means it isn't good at that point, in your opinion, kind of thing. So,
and I know from like a lot of people who were covering video games over the last decade that it kind of became an unspoken rule not to use the word fun when describing why you like or dislike a game, for that very reason, that you can't, everybody is different in terms of fun. And this goes back to our discussion I had with Jimmy Mackin about what frustrates people. That there are plenty of people who quit Sekiro after probably the first boss fight, and then there are the people like me who kept banging our head against the wall until we finally got through it. And challenge, as Mojo says, another really big point there in terms of, again, like somebody's tolerance. Like, I keep going on and off with They Are Billions for that very reason, that there's a lot of aspects of the campaign that aren't fun to me. Some of it is. And another really great example would be the La Mulana franchise. Like, the people who truly get into that game, they will probably consider one of the best games ever made. But that can be also so frustrating to play. Have you ever played any of the La Mulana games?
No, I haven't.
Oh.
But when it comes to Sekiro, what I would say is, you have your obligations, as a job to play certain games, as do I.
Mm-hmm.
You sometimes need to play the worst games out there to get a feel for them and find out where they messed up, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I wouldn't consider that as enjoying it, kind of thing. But you also have your masochism, so
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that could be fun on that level, kind of thing. So like, I mean, yeah, I mean, everybody defines their fun differently.
Yeah. And that, again, is why it's very hard to talk about fun when it comes to a lot of these games. Like, again, as you were saying with Fear and Hunger, there are people who found that game to be enjoyable. But that game was not designed around being an enjoyable experience. This is not the developer did not take cues from Super Mario Odyssey in terms of making a game that's appealing to everybody. And I guess that's another really losing is fun, yeah. And that's another part about this, that when it comes to the overall attention, or I'm sorry, the audience of these games, fun is very limited on that regard. There are people who love the Souls-likes they find it fun for the same reason somebody else will be turned off by it. But this is the question: if I ask this, it'll be like a 2-hour answer or 2-hour discussion. How do you design for fun, or can you even design for fun?
I think you can. I think it's a lot more simple answer. You've got to know your demographic.
Mm-hmm.
Like RPGs, people who play RPGs and everything generally like grinding, but, some more than others. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you want grinding in your game, but where do you draw that line? Where's too much, too little kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, people who like obscene amounts of grinding, you can't get too much kind of thing. And at that point, you just turn off everybody else that can get too much.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have those that, just want a little bit of grinding kind of thing. And, that, if you can, so you got to know your target audience kind of thing. And you got to know, and then within your target audience, you got to figure out which part of that target audience you want to play to most. Like
Mm-hmm.
RPGs, they want grinding, but how much do they want? And which way do you go? Do you go the less? Do you go the medium? Do you go the high? Do you go the insanity? Do you go like none and like piss them all off? I would say you don't want to go the piss them all off on you. You want to go one of the other.
Yeah. But that also brings us back to They Are Billions. That I was reading the forums of it last time while being frustrated by yet another campaign mission, and anytime somebody brings up complaints about the campaign structure, they are immediately downvoted by people saying, "No, it's fine. You're just bad at the game." It's the same kind of discussion that we have with the Souls likes. That any discussions about balance or accessibility are met with "get good."
Yeah, that's more of an issue with fan bases, which
Yeah.
I would say to a point, not 100%, but to a point, fan bases reflect the developers
Mm-hmm.
because the developers put in what they put in based off of fan feedback and whatnot. So anything that the developers are listening to fans, they're putting into the game, so they agree with that stuff. The fans are saying enough to put it into the game. So that means that the fan input and the developers agree, which causes the game to be what it is, which causes the developers basically to feel very similar in most cases to what the fan base feels.
Yeah.
Like a lot of your fan base here on Game Wisdom, finds dissecting games and game designs really interesting,
Mm-hmm.
where others do not, kind of thing. The community feeds into the creator feeds back into
Yep.
the community. That's kind of how fan bases work for the most part. I mean, there are exceptions out there where you get like really, really crazy fan bases that do not fit you at all, kind of thing. And those creators normally don't last very long. Whether it's a video, YouTube, game development, or whatever kind of creator you are. But generally, the fan bases run parallel with the developers.
Yep. And that goes back to what we talked about before with this idea of the echo chamber. When you only listen to your fans, And then what happens is any attempt at making your game more appealing or trying to reach that broader market is looked at as kind of like an affront to your fan base.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with this idea of fun in titles, like this kind of goes back to our first topic then. What Nintendo has, when we use the term fun when talking about video games, Nintendo has always been synonymous with that. So we can have discussions about Nintendo's design, for hours and hours on end. But if you had to kind of put your finger on it, like, why do you think Nintendo's games are fun to play? Like, can you nail down a single philosophy there?
Mm, that's a really hard one.
I mean, while you're thinking about that, Blizzard is fairly easy to understand. Blizzard have always been masters at examining games and their designs. As we've said many times over, Blizzard doesn't make unique games, they make refined games. And that level of refinement makes their games very enjoyable by the fact that they know what makes people go to these games and they know what drives them away, and they just put a lot of the former and ignore the latter.
I think I have a answer now,
Mm-hmm.
kind of. It's that they focus on like level design and stuff like this to where where they really polish and really release a like complete package game that is well rounded kind of thing. So they're balanced and not unfair and not insanely hard, not insanely easy at the same time, and they just pull off this rounded balance like a spear kind of thing where like other developers are like a cone or whatever. The spear just has this refinement everywhere, kind of thing, no matter where you look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And getting back to Draken's point there, I think that's another really interesting when we talk about fun and again designing for fan bases. Because this goes back to where we were talking about Dragon Ball Fighter Z. That if this is a game that I can get into, one that I can show some level of competency at, does that make it a good fighting game? And it's something that I was talking to other Josh about. This was like 4 or 5 months ago. We were talking about Apex Legends and just battle royale design in general. And he asked this question: if somebody designed my dream battle royale game, the one that would hook me, the one that is all my design considerations, would that actually be a good battle royale game? Would fans of that genre like that game? And that's that issue. The stuff that I would see in battle royale kind of goes against the nature of that design. And when you look at stuff like the fighting game genre, you're seeing that same push and pull. That there are people who don't like the whole auto combo system of Dragon Ball Fighter Z, of Marvel vs. Capcom, etc., etc. And when you're trying to make your game appealing, we either see developers go too far, or it's just completely non-existent. That they do the barest of the bare bone tutorial, and then it's like, okay, here you go to the wolves of online play.
Yeah, like I mean, fighters. I like fighters, but it's you know I don't find it as being like the best fighting game. Like
Mm-hmm.
the best fighting game that I've played was Soul Calibur 2, 3, and 4. I don't know about the others because the thing is when you're playing fighters, you have to remember what buttons do what kind of thing.
Yeah.
You have to remember what button summons people, what button does this move, what button does this move, kind of thing. And then when you go to combos, it's like what button does this, what button does that kind of thing. Where in Soul Calibur, you don't have to remember any of that.
Yeah.
It's just you push the direction that you want to go in,
Mm-hmm.
and you push a button and you get a corresponding move. Like you push forward and X or Y or whatever, and you do a forward slash. You
Yeah.
push up and you do another button, maybe even the same button, X, up and X, and you do like an upper slash with your sword kind of thing. And you push down an X, and you would do like a kind of tripping slice with your sword kind of thing. And then you like go with your kick. You put your kick button. You do a high kick, low kick, middle kick, sweeping kick, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And then you could like do like a quarter turn backwards, and you would do like a spinning kick kind of thing.
Yeah. And that like level of intuitiveness has always been one of the things that has always kept me away from a lot of the other fighting games. Like I've said this before, like I have no memory for special moves. Quarter circle back X causes your character to do a flying jump kick. Like that doesn't work for me. The only here's a question for you, Shark. Did you ever play the Virtual Fighter franchise?
I think I played it one time in the arcade, like
Mm-hmm.
forever ago. I don't remember hardly any of it. I remember how it looked. That's about it.
Because that was, in some sense, similar to Soul Calibur, that there weren't really special moves or, things along those lines. There were still plenty of combos and a lot of advanced maneuvers to it, but it wasn't as focused on those kinds of direct or those forced inputs as the other games.
Well, the thing is Soul Calibur does have the special moves and everything
Mm-hmm.
that like all the other games have.
Yeah.
They're just a lot easier to pull
Oh,
off
yeah.
because, for a lot more intuitive to pull off kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Like,
Because
one.
like you can do like a quarter turn forward
Mm-hmm.
and like and you do like one of your ultimate moves kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Quarter turn backwards and like that's the most complicated move kind of thing.
Yeah, like.
And that's like the high tier stuff where like where like Mortal Kombat, that's like the basic move, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they made like what was the base or what is the basic in Mortal Kombat, the
The top of the
ultimate,
ceiling. Yeah.
yeah, and then they have just as many moves, if not more, than the others,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just so intuitive and like I actually feel like I'm fighting because it's intuitive kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I still remember, like, my main in Soul Calibur was Astaroth, the heavy guy with a giant axe. And I
mm,
still remember, like, his moves. Like, I can see in my head right now, if I do diagonal back X, he does, like, that sweeping downward, like, swing, like a 360 swing there. And,
yeah,
again, like, that stays with me. You asked me, what the special moves were in Injustice or Mortal Kombat, and I don't have a clue.
yeah. Only Mortal Kombat move I would know would be the quarter turn forward on Scorpion, where you throw out your get over here fight.
And Street
'Cause,
Fighter, quarter circle forward Hadouken.
yeah,
That's about it. That is the extent of my Street Fighter knowledge right there.
yeah, but like I don't know what every move would be, but I could just go play Soul Calibur right now. I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't played it in forever, and not need to pick up the moves again.
Yeah,
it just
me
come to me
too.
naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Where like like you've seen the other day, I went and picked up Dragon Ball Fighters. I hadn't played it in forever, and I didn't do so well.
Oh yeah, and it's the same thing. Like, and that's why I keep away from like the even more technical fighters. Like Arc System Works, the makers of Dragon Ball Fighter Z, they also do the Blaze Blue and the Guilty Gear franchises, and that is way above my level to try and learn those games.
Yeah, I wanted to get into those games, but I played one of them, and I was like, nope, nope, nope.
But Alordo asked a really interesting question, or he made an interesting comment there about goes back to the age-old question: should everyone be able to win in a game no matter what? And this kind of is a good lead back into talking about this concept of fun as an overriding idea. Because we brought up Nintendo a few minutes ago, and for everyone who knows Nintendo, they've been doing a lot since, I want to say, I think it was Super Mario Galaxy 2, in terms of making their main branch games as appealing to as wide of an audience as possible. That's when they started to introduce this idea of allowing players to skip levels. If they die enough times, they'll gain, invincibility for that level, things along those lines. And
Yeah.
it's again like this idea of trying to design a game that is going to hit as many people as possible. So that you do have, when you play a Nintendo game, everyone knows they have some very challenging levels that are aimed at the hardcore side. But the bulk of their games kind of aimed at maybe moderate to maybe one level below that, depending upon your own thoughts on it.
Well, I said this before, and I'll repeat it in another past podcast. But the would should everybody will win no matter what. It's I think you've got to know your audience,
Mm-hmm.
and once you know your audience, kind of thing, what you want to do is you want to aim for a majority of them to be able to experience all of your or a vast majority of your content, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't necessarily mean beating the game, but I mean generally it does, unless you have a majority of your content not out of beating your game, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You definitely don't want to get into your final boss and then getting pissed off at the final boss and swearing out the franchise forever like Kingdom Hearts. But you as a general rule, you want, as a developer, I would think, you make the content so that it'll be used. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to, you don't want to make a game that nobody plays. You don't want to make extra content that nobody plays.
Yeah.
You want people to experience most of your content.
What's very funny as you say that, Shark, is that I am reminded of Zachtronics. And again, Zachtronics makes some of the most mind-melting puzzles, programming puzzles that I've ever seen in their games. And I have spoken to Zach about this. There are people who have played a Zachtronics game who have never made it past the first level. Literally, the very first basic tutorial of his games, there are people who bought it, played it for 3 minutes, and then immediately refunded his games. And that is another really interesting point again about this idea of fun and about designing, who are you designing this game around? When you play a Zachtronics game, for people who do programming for a living, it's either viewed as taking a vacation or that you're just doing your job again while you're playing his games. And the people who love his games, they love his games. They will buy every one of his games, sight unseen, day one, full price, because they know that. The same goes for developers like Jeff Vogue of Spireweb Software. With his games, I am sure people have called him out or asked him, maybe you could make your games a little bit more accommodating, or maybe you could change the system. But he knows who his audience is. He is so laser focused on that specific demographic. And those are the people who buy his games, and everybody else just kind of, admires them from a distance.
Yeah. But the issue with that is you don't get any growth.
Yep.
And you get retraction and whatnot. And eventually you'll, if it goes on long enough, depending on how big it is to begin with, eventually it'll retract to where you can't stay in business, kind of thing. But there are niches out there that would enjoy that kind of thing. I mean, there's niches that will enjoy a lot of things, including asset flips, sadly.
Yep.
Playing the game of Steam, buying all the asset flips,
Yeah. And again, that's that push and pull that we talked about. That if you design your game for a market of, let's say, 1,500 people, then those 1,500 people are going to buy your game and all your other games. But what happens if they decide to go away? Or let's say they just stop playing video games and you don't have anyone else coming in, what are you supposed to do?
Well, good luck surviving on 1,500 people unless you made the game in a very short time.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't. After those people are gone, you're out of business.
Yep.
Or actually, I wouldn't even say after those people are gone. After you get down to about 1,400, you're out of business.
Yeah. And like we say the same thing with this idea of fun. Like the Paradox Interactive model, I think really fits that line. Paradox knows who their audience is to a T. They know exactly what kind of designs they want. They know what DLC to approach with. But those games are just incomprehensible to anyone outside of that. But here's the point, and this kind of again brings us back to this idea of fun. That people will argue that if you can't understand a Paradox Interactive game or appreciate the beginning of it, then you're not going to be a fan of that. And that, the design is meant to, again, kind of filter out people who aren't going to enjoy it. And
Yeah.
it's, again, like, you can see pros and cons for that. But I always view it as this. If you can make the beginning of your game easy to understand, then you're never going to attract a larger audience, or even attract people who may be like on that line of, I've never played this before, but maybe I want to give it a try. Maybe I could become a fan like this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that probably would enjoy the games, just
Mm-hmm.
they can't get into them because there's no decent tutorial, and that's more issue with tutorial design and stuff.
Yeah.
To answer Mike's question, I mean, ASCII games. I mean, ASCII games used to be all the rage, and then it turned to a niche, and now it's turned to what, 1, 2 games?
I mean, we can also apply the whole idea of, trying to make things more appealing. What do I do with YouTube? Like, I've had this discussion with plenty of people in the past about making the videos more presentable, doing more with the in-game footage and things like that. Because the people who like you, they're going to stick around regardless of your quality to some extent. If you just go out of your way and say, F all my fans, yeah, they're not going to stay around for that. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, though, you have to always think about what is somebody new looking at my stuff. Whether that's from a YouTube video, from my articles, from video games, whatever. And I always say this, that you never know what is going to be somebody's first exposure to your work. So,
Exactly.
like with my videos, there are people. Thank you, Elgardo. Let's put that as the quote on the YouTube banner there. But like, there are people who I see, like, the first video they see of me is something from like 3, 4 years ago, or actually it will be going on 4 years in next year. But like, they're going to say stuff like, I really like your stuff, but could you put more video content in your put more game footage in your videos? I'm like, yeah, I've been doing it for like the last year and a half now. But again, you never know what is going to drive somebody to find your stuff. And if you don't put your best or your most appealing foot forward, you can drive somebody away before they become that fan.
Yep. And to what Mike said about Text Adventures, Text Adventures isn't just Text Adventures. Text Adventures is like tons of different genres, including visual novels and stuff. And,
FMV.
games made in what is it? Twine and all this other stuff. But when we talk about a segment of that, we could talk about we could talk about like muds.
Mm-hmm.
Muds is a segment of that, and muds are pretty much dead. I mean, there is what came after muds that replaced it that is still alive now, but barely.
MMOs.
No, no, no. It was before MMOs.
Mm.
It was almost the exact same as a mud, but more, but it actually had some graphics, just not. Muds had no graphics. These were like Muds with a few images here and there.
I don't know. I'm
You know what
sure
I'm
if
talking about, though,
Ramin was
right?
on, he would know that.
I know an example of a game, of Legend of the Green Dragon.
Let's see. Oh, good. I can't spell legend right now. Let's see. Legend of the Green Dragon. That's definitely like an ASCII looking thing. Browse is it? Are you thinking browser based?
No, there was another term for it that was like initials like Mud, but it was, I think it was like
No, that's
four or
not.
five letters.
I do not know. Does anyone in chat knows what he's talking about?
All it was just a mud with images, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the whole genre basically was.
Yeah.
But some of those are still alive.
Mm-hmm.
But muds are pretty much dead. I don't think there's any muds alive. There might be one or somewhere, but
Mm-hmm. And
yeah, it's basically a graphical mud.
and getting to Algoto's point about Dusk, I remember when I spoke with Dave Oshie. I'm pretty sure I just butchered his last name there. We did a podcast with him about Dusk, and he told me like he got response from people saying, Dusk looks good, but it also looks like a budget shovelware game. Can you make those graphics better? And he said, no, that's the point of this game. And I think that's a really great. Let me check our time because it is getting a little bit on the late side. Yeah, I think we'll wrap things up in the next minute or so. But that's a really great summation again about this idea of fun in games. That to people who grew up playing 90s shooters, Dusk is like a dream come true. I know, Gordo, you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And I have friends who also love that game. For the people who didn't grow up on that, however, it looks like it looks like something somebody made in like 2 weeks in their basement kind of design. And again, like that was a game with a very specific market to focus on. And with that idea of fun, like depending upon who you are, some people found that to be very fun, some of them didn't. But at the end of the day, though, you still need to understand who is your market and what does that market want.
Yep, and that's what it comes down to in the end when it comes to fun, because fun is relative, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to know the audience that you're selling to know where to fund that, where the fun is, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
with Chromasia, we wanted to go after the crowd that loves tactical RPGs. At the same time, we wanted to be the entryway to other people joining
Mm-hmm.
the tactical
The
RPGs. So
gateway
what we
game.
did, yeah, the gateway drug, as you sort of say, and we did everything we could to, because like the number one complaint that you see from people that aren't into tactical RPGs is that it's too hard to learn. It's too complicated. They don't understand it. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
why, well, that's just the fact of a tutorial. A good tutorial. If we put a good tutorial in there and then we streamline the gameplay to make the tutorial function even better, kind of thing, like getting rid of a
Mm-hmm.
move button and just having attack combined with move, and getting rid of special attack and just combining that with attack. We just turned three buttons into one. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then we turned, and also in that we turned two sub menus into one sub menu, and then we added defense, which a lot of tactical RPGs don't have. Some do, but a lot don't. And we left out items, which about half of them do have, half of them don't. But like we we streamlined everything and streamlined the tutorial
Mm-hmm.
and did everything to where it would be that gateway kind of thing, and we achieved that because like I made sure to test with people that hated turn-based games, absolutely hated turn-based games. I mean, you know, my mod something is one of those people who hate
Mm-hmm.
turn-based games, and he's like, oh, I wouldn't be a good tester. I hate turn-based games. That's a perfect tester
Mm-hmm.
because I want to make sure you like it.
The same thing George Fan did with Plants vs Zombies, and having his mother play that game and getting like a real new player's experience and trying to design the game to make it more appealing for them.
Hmm. Without losing that core fan
Yep.
base. You want to go for your niche or whatever you're going for, but you can also design around making it so other people can get into it, other people can enjoy it, kind of thing.
Yep.
Sadly, the art killed us, and the release date definitely killed us. I mean, releasing 1 week after Steam's up, not advisable.
Yep. Exactly, Alberto. Or better yet, team up with him for Octogeddon. Then it's Sharks versus Octopus versus Zombies. There we go.
Or sharks and octopuses versus zombies.
Sharktopus, like the sci-fi movie.
Oh, jeez.
But I think with that, we did start a little bit late, and I do need to get going. So I think we'll wrap things up for this week. And Shark, it was a pleasure hanging out with you and doing our little chat beforehand as well.
Yeah, it was good being here. It's good to have stuff going on my side.
Yeah. And a busy week begins again tomorrow, as well as I get back to doing more phone work. I want to see if I can try to get in a walk now. Maybe it's gone down from 102 to maybe like 90. I'll see if I can get a little bit of exercise in. But thank you everybody for tuning in, whether you're watching this live or recorded. If you would like to catch this ad-free and help the channel, check out patreon.com/wbicer. Be sure to check out our Discord channel, link down below. I'll be back later tonight for hopefully some classic games. We'll see. But Shark, before we go, if people want to follow Project Triad, what is the best way for them to do that?
The best way would be joining our Discord, and I will link in the Discord, the chat rather.
All right.
Here.
Please don't I'm going to finish off my drink.
There we go.
And we're going to try to get back to our 3:30, 4 p.m. start time for next week. We kind of started late with a lot of stuff happening all at once. But that is that. I don't see the link. Did you put it in the YouTube?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's right there underneath Mojo's.
Huh. I wonder if my chat is breaking again. Very weird. Alright. Well, for the people who are in chat, they can get access to it. I don't know what is going on with this chat lately. I'll have to see if I can bug them about it. But thanks again for tuning in, everyone. We'll be back for more discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where exactly they are in science of games. Until next time, have a great night.